This man is truly the world's best dad. When he realized his little daughter was struggling to go up and down the stairs, he didn't waste a single moment. He spent his entire day off building something special just for her. He took 4 large pieces of cardboard and attached them to the stairs, turning them into an amazing slide. He even added 1 more piece of cardboard at the bottom, so she could safely slide all the way into her room. When his daughter tried it for the first time, she happily reached her room without any trouble. But she's still not happy, because only 2 people have liked what her dad did. Just look at this sheep. When its wool grows so much that it even covers its eyes, it's a clear sign that it's time for shearing. Sheep's wool keeps growing continuously, and if it isn't trimmed on time, it becomes extremely heavy. This can make it difficult for the sheep to walk and can also cause heat stress during the summer. In some cases, dirt and moisture get trapped in the thick wool, increasing the risk of skin infections. That's why most farmers and professional shearers today use electric clippers to shear sheep. These machines are very fast and can remove the entire fleece in just a few minutes, making the process quicker and safer. However, in many places, some shearers still prefer the traditional method of using large hand shears. Although it's slower, it gives the shearer better control over the direction of the wool and helps avoid cutting the sheep's skin. Once the shearing is complete, the sheep feels much lighter and its body stays cooler and more comfortable. This guy painted a 3D speed bump right on the road, and people couldn't stop saying, "Wow!" It looked so realistic that drivers actually thought it was a real speed bump. As cars approached, they immediately slowed down. Even a bus driver was left confused, wondering when a speed bump had appeared overnight. Some drivers even slammed on the brakes so hard it felt like their tires were about to come off. This guy performs an incredible stunt because he walks where there isn't even a path. He jumps from this rock, runs along the wall, and somehow balances himself on a tiny ledge. But here's the most dangerous part. If he fails to land on that small spot, he'll fall into the fast-moving water below, where surviving would be extremely difficult. Even if you could squeeze a ferret like a piece of cloth, it still wouldn't tell you these facts. First, some ferrets bring their newborn babies to the person they trust the most. It's considered one of the sweetest signs of trust and affection they can show. Second, ferrets have incredibly soft fur. Many people even say they're softer than cats. Their bodies are also extremely flexible, allowing them to squeeze into tiny spaces where other animals might get stuck. Third, ferrets love hiding things. If they find a small, interesting object, they'll often pick it up and stash it in one of their favorite hiding spots. Fourth, ferrets have an incredible amount of energy. When they're excited, they suddenly start jumping and bouncing around. Sometimes they get so happy that it looks like they have springs inside their bodies. And the funniest part? Ferrets sleep so deeply that they can sometimes look completely unconscious. But in reality, they're just enjoying a very deep, peaceful sleep. A shop in China came up with a genius way to attract customers during the summer. They freeze fruit drinks, toys, and all kinds of prizes inside giant blocks of ice. Then, for a small fee, visitors get about 20 minutes to break the ice using hammers and other tools. Whatever they manage to find inside the ice, they get to take home. Both kids and adults absolutely love this challenge. And since everything is frozen inside the ice, it helps people stay cool while playing, making it a perfect activity for hot summer days. So, would you give this ice challenge a try? While these 2 sisters were peacefully sleeping, their mom quietly walked over and secretly poked a tiny hole in their inflatable tube so the air would slowly start leaking out. Then, when the timing was right, she gently pushed them toward the pool. Suddenly, she remembered that her daughter's laptop was still on the tube. Panicking, she carefully reached over and grabbed the laptop before it got wet. After that, she made 1 or 2 more small cuts in the tube, causing the air to escape much faster. But as soon as the sisters woke up, they instantly realized something was wrong. Unfortunately, by then, it was already too late. In China, people fill unripe oranges with sticky rice, but not to eat them, to make a special drink. First, they cut a small hole in the orange and remove all the pulp, leaving only the peel. Then they stuff the peel with sticky rice so it keeps its shape while drying in the sun. Once the peel is completely dried, the rice is removed. Finally, the dried orange peel is used to brew traditional tea, which is loved by many people in China. First, this guy makes a cake, and whenever someone comes to buy one, he flips the cake upside down before handing it over. Then, both of them have to work together to put the cake back in its original shape. Sometimes the cake breaks during the process, but if they manage to save it, they win a prize. He creates cakes in the shape of different animals, such as turtles, giraffes, rabbits, and many more. When the cake is flipped, sometimes the head breaks off, and other times a different part gets damaged. This dog is seriously the ultimate prankster. He put on a terrifying mask and went around scaring all of his dog buddies. First, he quietly sat next to this playful husky. Meanwhile, the pit bull sitting behind them was watching everything. The moment the husky opened his eyes, he got so scared that he ran off in panic. But the prank was far from over. Next, the dog targeted the calm pit bull, and he didn't even spare the family cat. His scary mask had the whole house on edge, creating an atmosphere of pure fear as he went around startling every pet one by one. Some racing tracks are made so incredibly sticky that if you accidentally step on them, your shoe might come off while your foot keeps moving. These special surfaces are used in drag racing, where cars producing anywhere from 1,000 to over 10,000 horsepower can reach speeds of nearly 490 kilometers per hour. To handle that kind of power, the most important thing is grip. That's why the track is coated with a special rubber layer and traction chemicals like VHT and other traction compounds, making the surface extremely sticky. When these high-powered cars or bikes launch, their tires need to bite into the track and push the vehicle forward. If the surface is slippery, the tires will just spin in place instead of accelerating. That's also why drivers perform a burnout before the race, to heat up the tires and create an even stronger bond between the rubber and the track. When the race started, the girl in the pink shirt sprinted so fast that all the teachers at the school thought she was the fastest and would definitely win. She easily cleared the small wall without any trouble and kept moving ahead. In this race, running fast made it easier to get over the small wall. But when the big wall came, the faster runners kept stumbling and falling because of their high speed. Meanwhile, the girl in the green shirt kept moving forward steadily, picked up speed at the right moment, surprised everyone, and won the race. This man wanted to see what would happen if he gave this hippo a tiny grape. He thought the grape was so small that the hippo wouldn't even notice it. But as soon as he dropped the grape into its mouth, the huge hippo swallowed it instantly and then opened its mouth, waiting for more food. The next day, the man came back with a slightly bigger fruit, hoping the hippo would enjoy it more. But even after placing the fruit in its mouth, the hippo didn't seem impressed and looked a little disappointed. So the following day, the man prepared a much bigger treat. However, because of the previous experience, the hippo still looked a bit sad. Then the owner called its name and showed it a giant watermelon. The moment the hippo saw the watermelon, it became excited and, without thinking twice, swallowed the whole thing in a single gulp. This girl showed the otter a bowl full of ice. As soon as the otter saw it, he ran straight to the window. He pressed his tiny nose against the glass and stretched his little paws as far as he could. But his paws were too small to reach the bowl, so the girl picked up a piece of ice instead. This time, the otter grabbed it and happily started munching on it. This girl walked into a coffee shop to buy a coffee, but the cashier refused to accept her money because the bill was torn. A little while later, she came back after carefully taping the bill together, but the cashier still wouldn't take it. Frustrated, she said, "I already fixed it." A man standing nearby felt bad for her and kindly paid for her coffee. But then, when the cashier tried to hand her a torn bill as change, she immediately said, "I don't want a torn bill." The cashier instantly realized the irony, quietly took the coffee back, and returned her money.